All right, we got TierZoo, and we're not wasting any time. We got a brawl. Silverback Gorilla versus Grizzly Bear. I ain't gonna lie. I got the bear, bro.
The Silverback Gorilla.
I got the bear.
Grizzly Bear.
I'm taking the bear.
Most fearsome builds in the game. Because they're not playable on the same servers, the question of which of these is more powerful, or specifically which one would win in 1v1 combat, is a common subject of debate on the game's forums. So today we're going to delve into the stats and abilities of both of these builds and determine which one would come out on top in a death.
So far, just based off of this little stat graphic right here, is a pretty even matchup, low key. The bear isn't that stealthy, but like, it's a bear. You can't be stealthy and you that big for real. The Silverback Gorilla a little stealthy and a little intelligent, which may give him an edge, but once that bear peeps that he's here, starts to fight back, you're cooked, bro. You're cooked.
Start with the gorilla. In my primate tier list video, I ranked the gorilla as S tier. It was the only primate other than the human to get that top tier rank. And there's good reason for this. Just have a look at this thing's base stats. The gorilla is easily the most
pretty close though
of all the primates, with a power stat well beyond most mammal builds within its weight class. Its arms allow it to climb trees with ease, and keep in mind, they do this without investing in any of the perks which make climbing easier, like cling pads or hooked claws.
Crazy.
No, gorillas do this on strength alone, and they still make it look easy. And so it should go without saying that those arms can also toss most other players around like a ragdoll.
Literally.
And can dish out some serious damage in a short
They were just playing there, right?
Gorillas also have massive canine teeth, and although these are mostly for intimidation, they can act as an extra damage-dealing attack option if the situation calls for it. Ability-wise, they move surprisingly quick given how short
they are fast.
While not great at distance running, their burst movement potential is shockingly high.
They're not fast, but quick.
Gorillas don't have much to talk about. Their thick hide and bulky muscles offer some protection, but with only skin and fur covering their exterior, most attacks will be effective against them. Luckily, their large size gives them a pretty generous hit point pool, so they should be able to tank a decent amount of hits in a pinch. Stealth-wise, gorillas are above average. Their coloration works pretty well in dense forests, although not as well as true camouflage patterns.
True.
Because they walk on their hands and feet rather than hooves, they can move much more quietly than most herbivores, although not quite as silently as builds with padded paws and retractable claws. And finally, intelligence-wise,
imagine if they spec'd for that too.
Average. Their complex social structure requires significant investment to the intelligence skill tree in order to unlock it. And in doing so, gorillas also gained access to basic tool use and team tactics. The most common tool use tactic seen in gorillas is the use of sticks and rocks in order to more effectively dig out termites from their mounds. Next, let's switch over to the brown bear. In my bear tier list, I rated the brown bear at the low end of S tier. Taking a look at its stats, we can immediately see just how overpowered this thing is. Although not quite as powerful as the polar bear,
not super OP, but OP enough.
Carnivorous mammal builds in the entire game. One of the few that is able to take down builds like the moose, bison, and elk solo.
Its power
stat is just crazy high, mostly due to the insane damage a bear can dish out using its claw swipe attack. It's not uncommon for a single swipe from a grizzly to one-hit most players, as it deals both blunt force damage and slashing damage in no small
Oh my goodness.
Unlike the gorilla, bears also regularly use their teeth in combat, rather than just for intimidation. And in this aspect, they excel as well.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
Brown bear is quite sturdy.
Like the gorilla could pull up on the bear and maybe get a quick couple hits in, a quick little edge, maybe even, you know, intelligence level. They might get a rock, maybe knock them out if they're lucky. But once that bear realizes that you're there and starts to fight back, which they're very aware, you're cooked. You're cooked.
It has thick, loose skin.
It's over with.
Similar to the honey badger, which allows it to absorb serious blows without taking too
Honestly, the bear probably wouldn't even realize that it's a fight, and it would just think its food got delivered to him or something. Do bears eat? I mean, they're not in the same region, though. So
damage to
I guess they don't, but they would.
And with an HP stat similar to the gorilla, even if their opponents do score a critical hit, it's unlikely to mean an immediate game over. Stealth-wise, brown bears fare a little worse than the gorilla. Bears may not stick out that much visually, but they are some of the smelliest builds in the entire game, to the point where their odor often gives away their position long before they're detected via eyesight. Luckily for the brown bear, its incredible movement speed and endurance can allow it to close the distance on fleeing players, even if they get a head start fleeing from the bear's scent. With a top
Got
speed
'em.
roughly similar to a horse, very few builds can reliably escape a charging bear, especially given that bears can climb without issue as well. For those keeping track, this puts the bear's stats pretty much all either above or equal to the gorillas with
Yeah.
the exception of stealth. Of course, there's one stat we still haven't discussed yet, the bear's intelligence. When it comes to the gorilla versus grizzly debate, one thing that's often brought up is that the gorilla should be able to use its intelligence to easily outsmart the bear and gain a significant upper hand. Unfortunately for the gorilla, I vehemently disagree with this assessment. Not because gorillas aren't smart, but because bears are not dumb.
Exactly.
A common quote you hear from human park ranger builds is that there's a great deal of overlap between the intelligence of the smartest bears and the dumbest humans. To the point where designing an effective bear-proof storage container is often impossible because it will also keep out a good number of humans it was meant to be used by. Bears are the most intelligent of all carnivoran builds, smarter than cats, dogs, weasels, foxes, seals, and hyenas.
Crazy.
Their giant brains are a necessity in order to memorize key points of interest across their vast territories, and for them to strategize how to access the best quality
I
loot.
saw a bear close a minivan door the other day.
This isn't to
Like,
say the grizzly bear is going to invent some galaxy brain.
Yo,
gorilla
bro,
trap on
ain't
the
no
spot or
way.
anything, but neither is the gorilla. Gorillas are incredibly intelligent builds for sure.
Yup.
But their intelligence manifests in their complex social dynamics and their tool use. In this scenario, it's 1v1, so the social dynamics is a non-factor. That just leaves their tool use, and in this regard, I think most players drastically overestimate the gorilla's abilities. Gorillas are not supreme bushcraft weaponsmiths. In fact, their use of weapons at all is almost non-existent.
I was about to say, I don't think we've
player base.
actually seen them use weapons, which is why the Planet of the Apes movies became a thing, because it was like, what if they did? You know? And it's very entertaining, but like, they don't.
They will use rocks to more efficiently access insect larvae. But as for personal defense, the only strategy gorillas have access to is the intimidation-based technique of tossing debris in an adversary's general direction. When done in groups, this is extremely effective, and is often how a party of gorillas will ward off an approaching leopard in their natural ecosystem.
That's fair.
1 versus 1 versus a bear, there is no way this would be enough to deter an attack.
Yeah.
The bear's own high intelligence would give it a high chance to resist the intimidation effect. And once the bear has closed the distance, the bear is winning this fight at least 95% of the time. The gorilla would need not one, but several critical hits in a row to successfully take down a bear. Meanwhile,
I don't think it would
the bear
land that
only
many.
need a few good bites and swipes before it's game over for the gorilla. So ultimately, that's how I think this matchup
Yes,
is going.
sir.
Admittedly, I think it's a bit unfair to set up a scenario where the gorilla's most powerful ability is taken off the table, but the bear remains completely untouched. But that's the downside of investing in team tactics. If you ever find yourself caught off guard with no allies nearby, you might lose battles that you should otherwise at least have a fighting chance in.
Ain't no way, bro.
If you
He's
find
so
this
aggressive,
analysis
though.
unsatisfactory, we can approach it another way, which would be to take a look at their matchup spread and see if we can find any easy comparisons.
Okay.
While gorillas and bears never encounter each other in the wild and have no experience fighting each other, both the gorilla and the brown bear need to contend with big cats. While obviously not in North America, on other servers, brown bears actually sometimes share hunting territory with the tiger. This is the largest big cat build in existence, one which is powerful enough to, on rare occasion, take down rhinos and elephants solo.
Yep.
Matchups between bears and tigers tend to be pretty even. While there are recorded instances of tigers defeating bears and bears defeating tigers, generally these matchups tend to end in stalemates where neither player is truly defeated.
Interesting.
However, when we take a look at the gorilla's matchup spread against its most common big cat opponent, the leopard, we see that the gorillas actually tend to lose this matchup. Leopards are far less powerful than tigers. Yet nonetheless, even a leopard can score kills on gorillas. I think this is more a function of the difference in the bear.
You know
and
what though?
gorilla-
I think that's what it is. I think it's the element of surprise, the stealth, you know,
gorilla's
effectiveness.
defensive
Like that makes
stats and
sense.
its offensive stats. Even with its above average constitution stats, the gorilla's low defenses make it too much of a glass cannon. And in a massive slugfest fight like the subject of this video, the inability to absorb a lot of damage is an absolutely crippling disadvantage. No joke, I get this question at least once a week. It's to the point where if someone DMs me saying, I have a question, I just answer, the bear wins. And like 50% of the time, that's all they need. Now you know why. Hopefully you see me as an unbiased
funny.
and trustworthy source for these sorts of analyses.
Yeah, I like this right here, bro.
Sources are hard to come by.
I like this, I ain't gonna lie.
When new controversial debates crop up, it can be difficult to tell whether the version of a story you're being shown is the full story or just a heavily biased version of it. This is why I'm a huge fan of today's sponsor, Ground News. Ground News is a website and app
bro,
that
you feel me? Let us see it, and it's election day. Hopefully you went out and voted.
So what do you think?
I voted last week
Access
early.
Plan, which comes just in time for the
feel me?
election. So sign up today, and thank you Ground News for sponsoring this video.
W ad, bro.
So what do you think? Any more animals that we should compare and contrast?
All right, low key, I want to see two like weak animals, like animals that have like low intelligence, low power, low stealth. You know, just like I want to see some F tier. I want to see some F tier builds go at it, bro, just to see like if there would even be a winner. Because I really don't know. I doubt it. But I feel like that would be just as interesting as this right here.
On this channel? Anyway, thanks for watching and good luck out there.
Yeah, hopefully you're not a silverback gorilla and you run into a bear, because that wouldn't be fun. Common TierZoo W though, this was very entertaining, and I just knew it with the bear, man. I just knew it, bro. Those things do not play around at all. And he's lucky. The gorilla is lucky it's not a polar bear. If it was a polar bear, it wouldn't even be a question. It wouldn't even be a question, bro. You'd be cooked. You'd be cooked instantly, bro.